Welcome to Cooking with Miss O. Let's join Mary Beth Oxendine in the kitchen as she teaches you how to cook Southern style healthy.
Welcome to Cooking with Miss O. We're so glad to have you here today. Sometimes I forget to do my scripture because I get busy, so we're going to do that right now. It's in Proverbs, which is in the Old Testament, and it is chapter 3, verse 5 and 6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways acknowledge Him, and He shall direct your paths. This is one of my favorite scriptures that I learned in Bible school as a kid, and I try so hard, especially now as a widow, to let Him direct my paths. And I find that He does a beautiful job of it when we let Him do it. Now we're going to be doing in my cookbook, we're going to be doing today the beginning of several shows on freezer meals. I've talked a lot about this when I go talk places, and so we're going to do it right here on the station. It's Healthy, Simple Southern Style Cooking on One Income, my cookbook, and you can go to our website and order it if you would like. And it's in the chapter of basics. Let me show you what that looks like. The basics chapter has a list, a recipes, and grocery list, okay? In the list here, it tells you that in this basics chapter is chicken broth, beef broth, breadcrumbs, croutons, granola, and gravy. So these are all the things that, recipes and stuff that you need to do. If you're going to do freezer meals, this is the chapter you need to start with. I have how to do chicken broth, beef broth, breadcrumbs, and then how to do seasoned breadcrumbs. And then it goes on to, let me turn the page here, y'all. The croutons, the granola, the gravy, beef or chicken, how to make gravy. And then I have my grocery list. So the reason why I have the spiral here on this is because I can just stick this in my pocketbook, take it out and put it in the grocery cart, and I can have all my grocery lists for each chapter there, so I don't even have to think or write them up, because I was always losing my grocery list. Now today what we're going to be doing is breadcrumbs. When you're doing freezer meals, you have to have breadcrumbs. Do these few basic things in here first, and then you can make the meals. Okay? On the breadcrumbs, I'm not doing the seasoned one, but you can do that. It's just adding some spices to what we're doing here. I have made the whole wheat bread, and I'm going to get ready here, and I want to show you. I use a real thin knife. These are Pampered, not Pampered, yeah. These are, I started to say Pampered Chef. This is not Pampered Chef. This knife is Pampered Chef, but this is a Longaberger for the bread pans. It's the best bread pans I have ever used. And let me show you how. And I just go down beside it. I don't let the knife point out or it will tear up your loaf of bread. And then here's your bread. Now I've just baked this today. So when you are going to cut bread, let me put this right here. The wonderful thing with the Pampered Chef knives, they have a cover, so when you reach into a drawer, you won't cut yourself. I have to do it on the side here, like that. And then I just kind of cut it in fours, because I do have a bigger food processor, but those of you that don't have a bigger, because I found it at Tuesday morning, it was really cheap. If you don't, my sister gave me one for Christmas or for my birthday or something, my older sister, and Kathy, and I have loved this thing because it's so easy to take out, it's so easy to clean. This comes off real easy like that, and then I can just put this bread in here like this, and then it just crumbles it up, because a lot of times I'll be eating a loaf of bread and then there's 2 or 3 slices left after 2 or 3 days, and then I put it in a freezer bag, which I tell in here. I put it in the freezer bag, the whole pieces of bread, if I don't have time to grind it, so I don't let them spoil, and I stick that bag in my, and I use a gallon bag with that, and then I stick that in my freezer, and then when I have time to do up the breadcrumbs, but I always try to have at least 1 or 2 quart size bags for the breadcrumbs, and you're going to use this in a lot of your meals. So I just slice it like this and keep going till I get it done. Now if I'm out of breadcrumbs and I bake a batch of bread, I take 1 whole loaf and go ahead and make breadcrumbs. Wait till it cools really good, because if it's kind of hot, it won't be crummy, it will be sticky and gooey. Now, since I don't want to do this right on the show right now, I'll just show you a little bit, and then I'm going to stop and I'll do it while we're doing a commercial, because it's kind of loud. See how it does? and then I get it really fine, and you'll see that in a minute. Now, what else I put in the freezer? Let me just set my Bible right here. Let me tell you all about this. My Bible that I've always used, and you've seen it, was one that Tom gave me the first Christmas when Josh was born. And so that was many years ago. And the back fell off the other day. So I keep that in my bedroom, and that's the one I still do my devotions out of and everything, because it has my life written in it. But I went to the Christian bookstore in Easley, Crossway, and they had the Duck Dynasty Bible. And I got it, the one for the girls. It's the same stuff inside, but I got the pink one and brown. And it's really easy to read. But they have done a beautiful thing, Al and Phil. They've done a beautiful thing in the Bible about a whole bunch of different things and telling you how to read and when to read and stuff. And I have thoroughly enjoyed it. And stories about their family. I got to see Miss Kate last year here in Greenville at the women's conference, and she was fabulous. I really enjoyed hearing her, and so did my daughter and another girl that was with us too that was in Bible study at my house. And so I just want to tell you, take a look at that because it really is wonderful. Now, the other thing I put up in the freezer meals that you need to do at the beginning is brown rice. I cook that for meals and stuff, and so I go ahead and do a couple of bags of that so that when I do the soup or I do rice pilaf or something like that, I've got it already done, or for a casserole. Now, you need 2 cups of water. This pan I use is one that is a waterless cookware because it's got real good stainless steel. It's a heavier pan, and so it is wonderful for doing this. And let me go ahead and turn this on. I never have it on high because with waterless cookware you can't do it on high. And I have loved this pan because it cooks the rice the best. All right, and then all you have to put, you can put sea salt or pepper or seasonings if you want in it, but I don't. Because if you're doing chicken broth and you've already got your seasonings in there, you can make it too salty and all. So I don't put any salt or anything. All I do is the rice. I do 1 cup of rice to 2 cups of water, and then I cook it for 40 minutes. First I get it boiling, and then I turn it down after about 5 minutes, and the directions are on the back, so I don't even need to tell you that. But this is the one I get at Ingles. This is the best one. For about a year, I tried everything at the co-op there in the 6 Mile area, and I ordered stuff, brown rice, basmati rice, and they do have that. But this one was the best I've ever found, and then Ingles started carrying it, and it is wonderful. You can get the long grain or the short grain. I love both of them. Brown rice is kind of like the wheat berry. If you look at this, instead of white rice has so many chemicals on it. And a professor at Clemson, he tested it to see what was all in it, and arsenic was in it, a tad of arsenic. And so, because a lot of the lower part of the state where my husband was, I grew up, they use a lot of white rice. And they have a lot of arthritis and a lot of other problems too, and it has been directly related to the chemicals that's in the white rice. So what I wanted to tell you is this is brown, just like my wheat berries. It has the whole shell, you would call on it, the whole covering on it, so that's where your nutrition is. And like the wheat berries, the rice, until you cook it, it has all the nutrition you need in it. So what we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and put this in. We're going to let it boil just a minute, okay? And then what we're going to do is put the lid on it and set it on low, well, not quite low, the one before low. And don't take the lid off for the 40 minutes after we get it to boil for about 3 minutes, okay? And that way, I put cup, when it's done, I put a whole cup in a bag, and that is all you need for when you do your homemade chicken soup. And I put the brown rice in there with the chicken and the vegetables and all. But put the cooked rice in right before you're going to serve, just so it gets hot. Because if you leave it in that broth too long, it just swells up and it becomes gummy and gooey. So right before you're going to serve, you just put the rice in the soup. We're going to be right back from a commercial break. Thank you. Welcome back to Cooking with Miss O, and we are doing freezer meals here. We use our Ziplocs. I get mine at the dollar store, and I use this brand or any brand that you can get that you like. I'm going to show you how I put up the rice, and this is for soups and casseroles. And then I'm also showing you that we did this 2-cup, and I did that with the small little food processor you can get at Walmart or places like that. And I did 2 cups here. So this can go on when I do this on top of casseroles, I melt a little bit of butter, and then I just toss that into it, and you can put it on top, and you can also put cheese on top. I'll do that on a squash casserole in the summer, or a broccoli casserole, or a vegetable casserole. And sometimes I will do it on I have a hamburger casserole that I do, and I put it on top with that too. The other thing I do is the brown rice for the soups and for different casseroles too. So I have that all made up in my freezer. I take first of all, with the brown rice that I used, you need to let it sit for 10 minutes after it cooks for 40, okay? And then you just leave the lid on it while 10 minutes while it's sitting, and then you take the lid off, and then you toss it. You just kind of separate the rice with your fork, okay? Don't ever turn it on high when you're starting to cook it, because the rice will brown and burn on the bottom, okay? Now, this is what I'm going to do right now. I take my 1 cup, and then I just do this. So I make sure I have 1 cup here. There. I put that in there. Now, I usually do a bag. For widows or single people, you can do a 1-cup bag, but it's really easier for me to do a 2-cup, and then I have a little bit of leftovers. Because if I eat soup for lunch on one day and I come in and maybe I've been shooting a show, or I've been at my kids and I'm coming in late, then I have some chicken soup left over, and I go ahead and eat that night with one of my dinner rolls that I have up in the freezer too, and then I can make myself a little salad to go with that too. Ladies, if you are alone, get a couple of ladies over to help you, and y'all all do your freezer meals. I'm getting ready to do some freezer meals with Molly and her mom, who y'all met here on the show. Now, this is what I do with this, because it's not like the broth. I get it all spread out, and don't put it in too hot, which I'm doing right now, because and then just pop it right in the freezer. If you want to keep your freezer really organized and stuff, I would do a couple of these and put them in a gallon-sized bag, and so that I know that this is my brown rice bag, and I just pull one out. All right, there we go. Now, over here, we've already done 2 cups here. You don't have to put this in the freezer. You could keep it in the refrigerator, but I recommend it going in the freezer. First, like I told you before, I have a gallon-sized bag, so whenever I have bread left over like this, I cut it in slices, I pop it into that freezer bag, and then when I have time, I grind all that up, because it's real easy to grind up, and make it into 2 cups once. And so then I have that. The one where I pop the bread in is on my freezer door on the inside. I have a bag there, and then these can be in a bag too that says breadcrumbs, so you can get that out. I don't throw away the gallon-sized bags that I put this in or the rice in. Now, with the broth in it, every time I do it, I do throw away that gallon-sized bag. Now what I'm going to show you is croutons and how you do that. Make it a little bit thicker than a slice of bread. And in my recipe book, in the basics chapter, it tells you basic croutons that you can do, and then I have one that's got spices in it. I make your croutons kind of big, like that. I do it just like this. Your kids can do this with you. It's a lot of fun. And it's, you know, it's real tender, the bread right now. So I cut it like this. Let's see how this little one cuts for the smaller pieces. Now those, because it's not serrated, it kind of squishes it down. And I love this Pampered Chef knife. All right, we're going to do our croutons kind of big. One thing I do too is sometimes if I have some leftover fresh Parmesan cheese, I'll just toss these croutons in a little bit of butter, and or sometimes you can just do it with olive oil. I've done that too. All right, now we're going to put these like this. If you don't want to put anything on it, you can just put it like this, okay? And then you just put it to bake in the oven, probably on about 325 so it doesn't get too hot. Watch it. I use parchment paper. Parchment paper is cheaper than tinfoil, and it's better for you. Now, I do very little with tinfoil anymore because it's not as healthy a product. Now, with parchment paper, don't have it hanging over the sides, okay? Because that's just not really safe. I try to do it so it's just a tiny bit up on each side, like that, and then I just put it right there, and it's really good. Here we go, we're going to do some more of this. And after you do this for a while, you'll think of all different kinds of ideas that you like for it. If I want basil croutons, then I'll do a little bit of olive oil, toss in a little bit of olive oil of these before I bake them. And then I do sprinkle basil on it, and it's really good. You can have these on salads, any kind of salads. You can have, my mom always did croutons in soup, and I love them on soup too. So you can have different flavors in a bag, and I'm going to show you how much a bag, even though these haven't cooked, I'm going to show you how many you can have in a bag. And I have different flavor bags, so you can do either one. This is about 2 slices of bread. And it makes plenty. And you don't want it so full that when you lay it down. And remember, it's wider, and that way they don't fall apart so. And then you can just do it like that. And that can go in your freezer too. And you can have it labeled. Thank you, we'll be right back. Welcome back, y'all. Now I'm going to show you 2 more things that I do with my bread in the freezer. I take this loaf out, and it's one I've just baked. And sometimes maybe I haven't been able to cook bread or something like that, and we need breakfast when we get up. So it freezes so beautifully, and I'm going to show you how I do it and what I do with it. I just cut it. I always don't cut them too thin when you're freezing them because then they kind of break up. We're just going to set that right there for now. I do it about that thick. If you're going to do it for a sandwich when you take it down, I would toast it, have a toasted sandwich. This is what I do. I do this size. Now, let me tell you something else I do first before I put it in there. You can go ahead and do French toast where you mix up your egg and a little bit of milk and you mix up whatever. I do vanilla flavoring in mine. Dip your French toast in all that, then put it on here. Actually, go ahead and cook it like French toast in the frying pan, and then when you take it out from the freezer, then you have it done, you put it in your freezer bag, you pull out your French toast, and you can just line it up here on your parchment paper in the oven at about 325 until it gets warmed up good, and then you have room for a bunch of French toast. Now, you also can bake the French toast after you've dipped it in the egg and the milk and the vanilla, and go ahead and bake it in the oven, pop it in the bag too. You can do it either way. I kind of like doing mine in the frying pan, then letting it cool, putting it in the freezer bag, and then take it back out, put it on the parchment paper whenever I want to use it, because I might just use one since it's me, and I put it in the oven, all right? But you can do as many as 4 on a baking sheet. What I do with my French toast, see you have 2 eggs, and that's in my recipe book here. It's on page, the French toast is day 627, okay? Now, you can just put them, it'll take 2 like that, and if you want to do it kind of like that, that's better because that gets the warmth around it. Then when you're ready to freeze it up, you can just put them in the freezer bag. Sometimes I cut a piece of plastic, wax paper, and I put it between them, or you can just do it in one smaller one where you have 2. But I usually, when I thaw out a thing of French toast, I do a whole bag full. And I leave the others in the refrigerator, whatever I didn't have, but sometimes my kids show up if they know I'm doing that, and then they do that, okay? And then that's how it's done like this, okay? Now, I do it, let me show you. I'm sorry, I messed that up, y'all. Let's put it so it's a little bit like this, okay? All right. That's your French toast. I would label it. Now, also, if I'm doing like on one of my breakfast meals where we have toast for breakfast, and I don't want to have to, day 6 and day 4 and day 2, I have just toast. So if I make a loaf of bread, I can put all of that in and use that for my toast too. And then all you have to do is take it out and toast it. If you are doing it as a sandwich, be sure that you don't let it thaw out totally. Go ahead and put it on the parchment sheet, put it in the oven, let it toast like that. That way it won't get soggy on you, okay? Now, with the one that I take out of the freezer that I'm gonna do for toast just for breakfast, I just pop it in the toaster. I don't let it get totally thawed out because then it gets soggy, okay? Now you can have French toast, toast for breakfast, and sandwich bread all the same in your bag out of one loaf of bread. This way, when you're eating breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you can even have bread for your dinner too. Now what I'd recommend there is doing the dinner rolls like I've shown y'all. I think I'll leave that one like that. I just have to put it in here. Let me see. I cannot get this one open, so I will stop with that one, and I will do this one. Now I do the ones a lot of times where you press it down, but I can't get this one there. And this is what you can do too. Just put 2 in a bag, and just freeze it like that, okay? So you can do French toast, regular toast, bread for sandwiches, croutons for soups and salads, breadcrumbs for casseroles, for chicken to roll in chicken nuggets, and your brown rice for soups and casseroles. And this helps with your freezer meals. I just want to thank you for watching Cooking with Miss O Freezer Meals.